Hi everyone, I'm Lucas Mack and welcome to another episode of The Vulnerable Hero, where I define vulnerability as the courage to experience love in its purest form. Today, I'm online. This is a day later than I usually post an episode because this week I fought the good battle of a head cold. Today's the first day that I feel healthy enough to get online. But today's message, I want to clearly ask you a question. Do you have opinions or points of view? Or better said, what's the difference between an opinion or a point of view? Doesn't it seem like everyone has an opinion? I mean, we actually do. Everyone has an opinion. You could ask any person about any such subject that you question them about, and I bet the majority of people that you ask will have an opinion on a subject. One of the themes that I talk about in this podcast is, are you the first source of information? Are you the first source of information of what you believe? Or are you a third, fourth, fifth, multiple sources of information down the road? The telephone game. If you tell one person and there's 100 people in the room, and that number 2 tells number 3, 3 tells 4, 4 tells 5, all the way down to 99 tells 100. Usually the 99th person telling 100 tells them a completely different story than one telling 2. That's what happens with information. That's what happens with facts. That's what happens with history. That's what happens with narrative that you have not read the first source of or experienced the first source of information yourself. So then, when we form opinions of facts, matters, subjects, experiences, themes, theology, philosophy, methodologies of behavior in this world that we have not experienced firsthand, we are simply regurgitating maybe the person from 2 to 3, maybe the person from 33 to 34, or 47 to 48, or 73 to 74, or 99 to 100. But guaranteed, we are not clearly articulating the person from 1 to 2. Opinions matter not. I have an opinion. You have an opinion. We all have opinions. We all have our positioning of life. However, and this is what I want to talk about today, there's a difference, I believe, and therefore I will make this argument. There is a difference between an opinion and having a point of view. May everyone have a point of view. May less people hold tightly to their opinions. I look at an opinion as a lazy way to form a worldview. It is a passive way to form a worldview. It's information given to you without you seeking out that which is true. And that's why most of our opinions are formed from our childhood. Our parents laid out an argument, and we as children absorbed that argument and regurgitated back to those around us as fact, when simply they are opinions. And opinions are a lazy form of information. The opposite of an opinion in this argument that I'm presenting forth today is a point of view. And a point of view, if you even break down the literal terminology of point of view, it takes one seeking and it takes one climbing to a height. I look at it as mountain climbing. I live here in Seattle, and I love to backpack in the Cascade Mountains. My brother, my friends, and I, we have backpacked many nights in the Cascade Mountains, climbing incredibly high elevations to find the perfect alpine lake to fish in, to find the perfect camp spot in the wilderness. A point of view is that it is climbing high. It's like flying in an airplane. We all start on the runway, and a point of view is lifting off the runway to the point where you look down below and cars driving look like ants. It almost looks fake looking at Earth. That is a point of view. You have climbed, you have sought, you have discovered a particular viewpoint. And your viewpoint allows you to articulate and more firmly settle upon that which you know to be true. An opinion is simply a passive way of articulating a belief that you don't have firsthand knowledge of, and a point of view is a perspective that you have sought out on your own, apart from others' interpretations, others' influences, others. I use this term others, whoever they may be in your life, and you have sought out for yourself a point of view that you can articulate clearly. And when you can articulate clearly to the world around you, you are no longer subject to other people's opinions. Therefore, you are in power. You are in control. You are in the place where you can articulate your beliefs soundly. So then, I have the kids in the studio. Okay, guys, hop out. Love you. Bye-bye. Thank you. When you can articulate your point of view clearly. Okay, guys, bye. Bye-bye. Out, please. Close the door, please. Close the door. Close the door. So when you can articulate your point of view clearly, you are no longer subject to another's opinion. I have blazed a trail of my own in my life. I have broken away from all that which I have come from. And I can tell any person that asks me clearly what I believe, what I have rejected that I used to think is true, and what I believe that I have found to be true, simply because I have established a point of view in my life. And I have read, and I have experienced, and I have sought out for myself that which I wanted to know. Seek and ye will find. Knock and the door shall be opened. Ask and ye shall receive. For everyone that seeketh findeth. Everyone that knocketh the door shall be opened. And everyone that asketh receiveth. When you seek, you will find. And that doesn't mean that we all have to find the exact same threshold, the exact same height, the exact same elevation, the exact same perspective. For I have not climbed the highest peaks on earth. I have climbed not even the highest points in the Cascade Mountain range, but I've climbed high, and it's given me a certain perspective. I'm not going to claim that I've climbed the highest. However, I know that I am not staying at sea level. I know that I'm not staying down in the valley. For it, you know what they say, rolls downhill. I wanted to climb out and get out. And why I'm sharing this is I would love it for you, my brother and my sister, to establish your own point of view. For you to get out of the valley that you are finding yourself in right now. And have the courage which takes grit. It takes grit to have courage, to find the courage and face that which holds you back, that which holds you down, that which keeps you in the valley, that which keeps you at that low place. And my desire is that you climb and you seek for yourself that which is true. I talked to a client this morning. I actually really become a friend. Actually, now that I'm thinking of it, a friend. We had breakfast this morning and I talked to him we were talking about politics. And I said, one of the things that I am setting out to stop in society is what I call relational relativism, which I've not spoken about on this podcast. Relational relativism. When someone says to each their own, I say, okay, to each their own. If you really believe to each their own, then you should have no problem with someone coming and beating you with a bat, taking all your property and your possessions, burning your house down, and stealing your car. To each their own, correct? No, we know it's not to each their own. Now, I'm a libertarian, so I love the idea of liberty, of freedom, of individualism. However, there must be an internal governance to life. So what people say when they say to each their own, what they're really saying is it's okay until it affects me. But the moment it affects me, it's no longer okay. For instance, let's just use some examples. Judging. It's okay for you to judge others, but when someone judges you, it's no longer okay. Lying. It's okay for you to lie to others, but when someone lies to you, it's no longer okay, or whatever it is. And I really believe what you apply to one should be applied to all. And if you're not willing to apply it to all, then you shall not apply it to any. For instance, if you want to take away the possessions of another human being, be that a firearm or anything else, then I say, take your firearms away or anything else away. Confiscate your possessions. If you want to raise taxes on someone, I say, great, raise taxes on you. And if you're unwilling to do what you are wanting to put forth to all, then you shall not do it. Relational relativism always causes contention. It always causes strife and fighting and eventually wars in society, where it gets to the place where you get a gun, I'll get a bigger gun. You get a bigger gun, I'll get a bigger gun. And we come into conflict with one another because we all have opinions. Solomon said, the wisest man to ever walk the earth, King Solomon wrote in the book of Proverbs, only by pride cometh contention. Only by pride comes contention. Meaning you would have no contention with another person if you did not have pride. Our contention comes from our pride, and our pride is stemming from our own unwillingness to let go of our opinions. Pride causes contention, but a point of view, I believe, causes humility. Why? Because you have changed your perspective, and even in the perspective change, you know, wow, that which I once held true here, when I see at this level, is not necessarily the truth of what I held at this level. Therefore, you have the humility to simply just say, at the end of the day, what matters is to love people. To love people. That's why when the rabbis came to Jesus and said, what is the greatest commandment? And they throw the gauntlet down on him. What's the greatest commandment? And his response was, love God and love people. That's it. Love God, love people. Love God, love people. And it says that God is love, which I 100% believe. And what does love love. If you are to love God and God is love, then what does love love? Love loves love. Love never not loves love. Love always loves love. Therefore, we are commanded or encouraged or prompted to love people. And that, my friends, is the only thing that combats relational relativism. Because I would never do unto you what I would not do it to me. And if I'm doing things unto me that are not healthy for myself, then I do those same things to you, then I must be healthy so that I can go out and heal you. And you must be healthy so you can go out and heal me. For hurt people continually hurt people. So all of it stems down to, I believe, a point of view not only causes humility in an individual, and it also causes us to love individuals. An opinion, though, because we're not sure if we're first source of it, which we're most likely not, causes us fear. Because we have not been sought out. We have not sought out the truth ourselves. We didn't seek and find. We didn't ask and receive. We didn't knock and the door was open. We just received what was given to us. Then we're afraid, what if we don't actually know the truth? What if I ask myself, these are just questions I ask myself. This podcast, this episode specifically, I'm taking you on a journey of where I take myself. What if everything you believed was wrong? What if everything you believed was wrong? What if everything you believed was right? It's easy to play in this middle ground, but take it to an extreme. Take it to the boundary, the limits, the polarities. If everything you believed was right, then why don't you every second of every day speak forth for all of humanity to believe? And if everything you believed was wrong, do you have the humility to change? And to lesser or varying degrees, what if certain things you believed were wrong? What if certain things you believed were right? Opinions matter not. They don't matter to me. Points of view, those are worth listening to. First source information, first-hand information matter. And the 99th source of information, from a scale of 1 to 100, the first person being the real source, the 100th person being the last receiver of that telephone game, I don't want to listen to it at all. I acknowledge them as individuals. I appreciate they share their opinions. But I am encouraging all people to become a vulnerable hero. You first have the courage to experience love in its purest form, the vulnerability, so that you can heal. The heroic side is that you go out and seek what is true, what is truth, and how shall we then live amongst each other on this earth for the very short time that we live with each other. No moment is guaranteed beyond the present moment, not 1 second. Therefore, in all seconds that we are gifted to breathe, what is our purpose in breathing? I believe, through my point of view, our greatest purpose is to love people. For they shall know you by your love, not your political rhetoric, not your fear-based opinions, not your hunkering down, not the doomsday scenarios, not the turn or burn, not any of this rhetoric. They shall know you by your love. And love is patient. Love is kind. Love brings life. Love does not create death. Love allows us to breathe. Love does not restrict. Love heals. Love does not hurt. Love brings joy and truth and long-suffering and goodness and gentleness and faith and temperance and meekness. Against such there is no law. Love actually produces more love. Fear never can produce love. And love can never produce fear. For even it says in Scripture, perfect love casts out all fear. Perfect love casts out all fear. Therefore, love can never create fear, and fear can never create love. So do you have opinions? Or do you have points of view? Are you seeing people liberated? Or are you staying in the shackles of shame that you claim to be your badges of honor? Are you a liberator of souls? Are you going forth and loving people and breaking the cycles that are holding you back? The generational curses, cycles, passing down from generation to generation opinions that don't bring life, only cause death. This is the podcast today. My deep desire for you, wherever you are listening around the world, that you hear me in humility as I share in humility to you. Have the courage to face your fear. Speak truth and life to that most painful and traumatic moment in your life. Heal the wounded areas in your life. Allow love to fill those gaps, to fill those voids, to mend that pain and release it that you may receive freedom and love and healing and find purpose to go out into the world and heal other people. This is our calling. This is what us as vulnerable heroes are called to in this world. You get to stand forth. And when someone, for instance, I had people jump on my social media walls and will throw in a little passive aggressive jab. But why don't you talk about this or remember this? And I'm being vague, but you'll see it sometime. I'm like, don't jump on my wall. If you really want to share that message, you get to share it on your wall. For simply opinions, but I'm sharing my point of view. And I want you to share your point of view and to shed all opinions so that you can be the first source of information. And as A.W. Tozer said, a man with an experience is never at the mercy of a man with an argument. So you get to stand in your own experience and share your truth, your story from your love. This is how the world heals. This is how you heal. And this is what it means to be a vulnerable hero. As always, thank you so much for joining this podcast, for listening, for simply listening to what I'm sharing. I'm sharing it from my heart. I have such a vision for what's happening right now in the world, globally. There is going to be such a massive movement of healing. And I am honored to have you on this journey with me. If in any way, shape, or form this podcast resonates with you, please rate it 5 stars, comment, share it, spread the word so that we can help more people get healed so that they can go out and heal another. And if you are a man listening to this podcast, I am hosting men's retreats. I have a few spots left for the very first retreat, the Vulnerable Hero Retreat and Legacy Program, to help you not only experience a safe place where you can share. But also, I'm helping men define what true legacy is. A true legacy is what you do for others and leave behind for others. It is not what you create for yourself. Abraham Lincoln did not create grand properties and cathedrals for himself. Martin Luther King did not build the Martin Luther King Library. It's those that give to others that create the greatest legacy. And a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, as Solomon says. So the Vulnerable Hero Retreat and Legacy Experience is going to help men, is going to help you understand the power of vulnerability in your own life, heal, be around brothers that are safe, and understand the legacy and being intentional in the legacy that you're going to leave behind. I am very clear on the legacy I'm going to leave behind. Very clear. And I want you to be as clear as I am. As always, thank you. My name is Lucas Mack. This is the Vulnerable Hero Podcast. Even with the kids coming in, thank you for following. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me on this journey towards freedom and healing. Because this is the journey that matters. I look forward to talking with you on the next episode.